Once upon a time, by that I mean last week, I was really worried about this talk today. So I reached out to a therapist friend and she said ethically she cannot take a session for me. But she can be a good friend and just hear me out. Drawing is something that's familiar to me, so she said to map out my journey on a paper and use that diagram to have a conversation with her about it. Then she encouraged me to workshop your thoughts. I'm like, what does that mean? She said you've been doing this all your life with ideas and projects, you've been experimenting. And this TEDx talk is just another one. You just need to be a lot more honest and vulnerable about it. So here goes. Drawing is my passion. And as a deeply passionate person, I think passionate is absolutely overrated. We are meant to experiment, test our limits, but most importantly, test our capacity for joy. So what is an experiment? Oxford Dictionary defines an experiment as a scientific test that is done in order to study what happens and gain new knowledge. So to say your experiment may or may not work, it might fail entirely, but you definitely learn something. And as a deeply anxious person, the idea of everything as an experiment was terrifying to me, is terrifying to me. And time and again, I need to prove to myself that everything is, in fact, an experiment. Let me start with my first. When I started my career as an illustrator, I wanted to practice. So I carried my pencil box, my laptop, my drawing tablet with all of its charges in this one massive bag everywhere I went. Until it got really impractical to carry around. I then switched to a single black pen, and on days I felt a little more brave, a single permanent black marker. That meant I had no pencil marks to erase, I had no undo button, and my blunders stayed permanent. There I was, sitting in my favorite dosa place, questioning my existence as an illustrator. But something strange happened as I kept drawing with these pens. I started to have fun. And of course I was having fun. I was enjoying the fruits of my fear-driven labor. It pushed me to embrace the uncertainty and resulted in some of my most playful and spontaneous sketches. They looked kind of okay, but felt so much better. They were imperfect, but they were honest. So what other fun and uncomfortable positions can I put myself into? I started drawing strangers at cafes. I was inspired by this book by Jason Pollan called Every Person in New York to do my own little version of it called Every Person in Bangalore City. I was terrible at it. I drew all of these people, and some of them were kind enough to hide their horror, but some of them just said, hey, that looks nothing like me, and didn't even take their sketch back. Painfully awkward, but the 15 minutes that I spent actually sketching them, they were so precious. I asked them questions like, hey, are you close with your family? Hey, when was the last time you cried? Trying to get to know them as deeply as I could in the 15 minutes I had. And people shared. The most exciting and most surprising thing to me was that people shared. They felt so comfortable to share in a public space. And that was a win in itself. So what I started to do was pick a line from their conversation and add it to their portrait. So even if they didn't like their portrait, there's something else to take back with them. The idea of everything is an experiment does not mean the absence of fear. It simply means making the act of fear fighting a lot more fun. So your mistakes don't feel like blunders, your mistakes don't feel like the end of the world, but they feel like brand new discoveries. Discoveries about yourself, discoveries about the people around you. I'd like to pause here and encourage you to think about something that you do if you did not judge the outcome so harshly. It's definitely easier said than done, especially if you do not have the privilege of supportive people around you. It was relatively easy for me. My mom supports all of my crazy ideas. She's actually there in the audience today. But I hope you do, and I hope you get to the other side, because it's crazy fun. Treating everything as an experiment started to bring a lot of opportunities my way. A lot of clients started to come up to me and ask me to draw their loved ones to gift it to them. I then asked them, wouldn't it be so much more special if you drew them? That's how the journey of teaching how to draw faces started. And teaching how to draw faces had a singular goal: to make the skill a lot more accessible. But it became so much more than that. These workshops were a space where people rediscovered their childhood hobbies, they met like-minded people, and had so much fun together. Treating everything as an experiment makes you more prone to happy accidents. And happy accidents are awesome. As humans, we tend to focus on goals. And don't get me wrong, goals are important. Goals give you a direction, but that's all they are, a direction. Instead of asking what is your goal with a certain project or a decision, we should be asking, is this how I wish to spend my time? To get more deeper into it and bring more clarity to your thoughts. I had the privilege of doing an art residency at a traveler's hostel. My job was to make signages and paint walls in turn for rent and food. I was so excited to paint a 20 feet wide wall. All of my friends wanted to help me out, and I designed a lot of diverse characters for it, and we got to painting. This wall was on the street, so we had to spend 3 sleepless nights painting this wall. And after these 3 sleepless nights, I look at my wall, and it was supposed to be this most beautiful, dramatic scene. Felt like a sort of anticlimax. The wall did not come out as nice. I had a picture in my head. And if I'm being honest, I was just kind of sad that it was over. 3 years ago, this wall was actually broken down in a construction. But you know what I was left with? Memories. Memories of the street nights with all of my friends and my street dog friends and my cameraman friends, and the breakfast we had at 7 a.m. after we were done with the night's work. That was something unbreakable. It makes me so upset that we get so obsessed with perfection. Perfection takes away so much from us. We are so much more than what we can do. And as Dumbledore says to Harry Potter, it's not our abilities that make us who we truly are. It's our choices. So fast forward to today, I spend most of my time at the back of my partner's scooter, roaming around aimlessly in the streets of Bangalore. We share the love of aimless joy. We also share the love of people watching. Kind of creepy, but let me explain. We love watching people who are dressed wildly and colorfully and out of the box. That sparked the idea of the I Like Your Vibe project. The I Like Your Vibe project pushed me to go out of my comfort zone, not just admire these beautiful people from afar, but actually go up to them and ask them, hey, I really like your vibe, can I draw you? It made people so happy to be acknowledged that way and to have their sense of style appreciated. And I got the most beautiful muses to draw. All of these projects are journey-oriented, where the goals merely being the direction and not the destination, where the passion merely being the means and not the purpose. I feel like we as humans, when we find our passion, we feel like we owe it to the world. Once we have found it, we cannot change it. God forbid we change our mind. It's even worse for people who haven't found their so-called passion. Like they're missing their North Star that they can align everything to. But it isn't just the North Star that twinkles. There are so many other twinkling stars to pick from, if we wish. 3 years ago, I lost my dad. I couldn't get myself to start drawing again. I then became a dance fitness instructor. And dance fitness wasn't this lifelong calling that I had. It was simply something I needed at that time. And since I was the instructor, I had no option but to get out of bed, show up, and move my body. Success means so many different things to different people. Success may or may not be even related to the goal. Our job is to be vulnerable about what we want from it. So many people go to the gym not just because they want to be fitter, but they could be fighting loneliness and they could use a sense of a community. We have to trust that all of our experiments, failures or not, add more depth to who we are. And if there's anything I hope you take away from this talk today, is you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to show up and try. Because the juice is in the journey. And the best journeys, they start with an experiment. Thank you.